What's up guys, Bella's back here. Happy holidays and happy almost new year. One of my New Year's resolutions is to be more on top of my personal financing and saving a little bit more money and shopping less. On this channel, I've done a variety of college videos, and now moving into my 20s and just adulting in general, I want to be more in control of my life, and I feel like that would be a great topic to explore on this channel. So that is why this video is called How to Stop Shopping and 5 tips to be successful in a low buy year and stop buying items that you truly don't need. So some of you may know this, but I started working a full-time job in August of 2021. With that comes regular paychecks every 2 weeks, and I just wasn't being on top of my money. You know, I would go like a month without buying anything, without any big purchases, and then I'd get this urge. You know, I'd see pictures on Instagram of influencers posting things, watching YouTubers doing hauls, and that would just feed this craving of wanting new clothes and always having the most new thing. And I started to correlate me being happy with buying new clothes, and it became a bit more unhealthy. And I don't want to say that I have a shopping addiction because I'm not buying things every day, every week, but I do go on these big binges or like splurges, and it's a habit I really want to break in 2022. So because of all of these reasons, this is why I came up with this video for how to stop shopping in 2022. And if you want to do a low buy year with me, then keep on watching this video and let me know in the comments down below if you're gonna join me. So a low buy year is when you really don't buy anything that is frivolous or that is not a necessity. So I'm not talking about like toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, anything like that, but just not buying the nicest new skincare, not buying a bunch of new makeup, not buying that new jacket you saw at Nordstrom, just being really on top of your finances and not making any unnecessary purchases. So a lot of this also means just being happy with what you have and content, and really evaluating why you're making these purchasing decisions. And a lot of the tips surround breaking that thought process of impulse purchases at nighttime or whatever thing that makes you crave spending money. Now, for a low buy year, this can really impact any type of category for purchases. So for me, I find that I spend a lot of unnecessary money on clothes, shoes, accessories, beauty products. For other people, that might be Ubers or Lyfts or going to bars all the time and spending a bunch of money on DoorDash or Uber Eats. So there are lots of different categories that this can apply to, but specifically for myself, I am trying to cut back on shopping. So because I'm starting this over the new year, I'm planning on making this a series in my channel so that we can just check up on if we're actually sticking to this low buy year and sticking with the budget or the bounds that we create for ourselves. So this video is separated into 5 different categories or rules that I'm using for my low buy year, and I will have the timestamps right here, as well as separate this video so that you can skip to a certain area if you want to go back to a certain rule. Keep in mind, these are the rules that I have set for myself and that I think will be most helpful. I have taken inspiration from other YouTubers as well and seen what works for them and what seems to be the most sustainable habits / rules / system that will work to have a low buy year. So the first rule that I think is the most important is knowing your why. For why are you stopping shopping? Why are you ending this shopping addiction? Why are you creating this constraint system for yourself? For me, there's 2 things. 1, I was impulse buying and going on splurges all the time, and it was making me feel really guilty. And 2, I actually have some financial goals that I want to begin completing and starting to reach. I am really lucky where I can start saving and I don't have to pay off a bunch of debt. My goal this year is to save about $10,000 to $15,000, and I know that if I am fueling my shopping addiction, I just will not complete that goal. So knowing your why is really important so that every time that you are thinking of buying a new item, you can connect it back to your why and see if it is actually bringing you closer to your goal or if it's actually getting you further from those goals you've set for yourself. Some of the questions that I ask myself, that I've been asking myself in the last couple months, where I've started to kind of be more mindful about my purchasing and that I want to continue into this low buy year, is 1, Do I already own something like this in my closet? This is a really important question because I know that I have multiple black shirts in my closet, white shirts. I don't need an item in every color. Another question to ask yourself is this just a trendy item? Or is this something that is going to create value and stay in my closet for 5 to 10 years? Or is this just a fast fashion brand that I'm seeing on Instagram and that I think is going to make me look cooler, when in reality, it just doesn't really matter. The next question I ask myself is, why do I feel like I need to buy this? I think for myself, a lot of it has to do with comparisons on social media and how unhealthy it can feel when you don't have something and other people do, and you want to keep up with the trends and associating your value with the clothes that you wear. I think the beauty of recycling things that you actually have in your closet is that you can kind of figure out what pieces actually speak to you instead of constantly inundating your closet with a bunch of new pieces and getting lost in other people's styles and new trends, rather than figuring out your own and looking inside your own closet and inward. The last question that I like to come back to is, if I'm trying to buy an item and I'm on Instagram late at night, will I still want this in the morning? In a week, will I still want this? In 2 weeks, will I still want this? This is really to break impulse buying habits and just check in on yourself later on, because more often than not, I regret buying something a few weeks later because I bought the item that I really, really wanted, and then 2 weeks later, there's a new item that I want, and that is how the addiction keeps going. I think the other thing to address is that a lot of people don't want to address the fact that they may have a shopping addiction because the word addiction has a lot of stigma around it. But I think if you recognize yourself in these kind of destructive behavior patterns and doing something that isn't actually helping you, and you're noticing that you're purchasing things or you are engaging in behavior that is actually detrimental to you and also maybe is filling a void somewhere else in your life, that is how you know that maybe you have an issue and that maybe there is opportunity for growth. So that is what this is for me. I don't know if I want to label it a shopping addiction, but I definitely know I can improve, and there is a lot of opportunity for growth for me. The next rule that I've implemented for myself is just to create a budget. So I will have more videos on creating budgets and my payday routine, how I am managing my money in the next year to complete my financial goals. But I think having a budget is really important, and then also knowing what your budget is for those more frivolous items. If you're starting this low buy year, it's not a no buy year. So at least for me, I know it would be impossible for me to just not buy anything for the whole year. It'd be really, really difficult. But you know, if my budget is $50 a month, $100 a month, whatever it is for you, I think is fine if you set that straight before you go into the year, because you can look at your finances and see what is realistic. Like, where do I actually have flexibility in spending and where should I really cut back? This is also great because if you're looking at your financial goals, you can set aside money ahead of time and know, like, well, I'm not spending all this money on clothing now, so I can put that more money towards my savings account. My third rule is kind of what I'm doing right now, which is creating rules and knowing your gray areas. So rules, kind of like what I'm saying about, I'm going to limit myself to maybe $100 a month, $50 on beauty products, $50 on clothing items. I don't really know what I'm doing for myself yet. I haven't really determined that, but wherever you think you have a weak spot, where you think if you cut it off cold turkey, you might end up binging again and going on a splurge, I recommend just allowing yourself to do a little bit, but being more mindful about where your money is going and limiting that amount to a smaller amount than usual. For example, for gray areas, what are you going to do when your favorite foundation runs out, your favorite skin product? Are you going to allow yourself to buy that same really expensive product? Are you going to try to budget and find maybe a cheaper alternative? How are you going to encounter those problems in the future? And it's important to think about those things, because we can always think of little excuses and exceptions for these rules, but you should really outline those before you begin your low buy year. My fourth rule is unfollowing/unsubscribing. So what this means is unfollowing any Instagram accounts that just make you feel inferior, whether that is because they're constantly buying new clothing and that is triggering something in you where you feel the need to purchase and do exactly what they are doing. Any brands that you follow, any email subscriptions or notifications that you have, text notifications that you have with your favorite brands, when you get a notification from any of those companies, for me that is Skims. I'm obsessed with them. When they release a new collection, I always go to the website at 9 a.m. and I just want to see what they have. I need to turn off those notifications and I need to unsubscribe from their emails because it is completely triggering something in me where I feel the need to buy something that I never felt the need to buy before I got this notification. And 5, I think connecting all of this, which is checking in with your goal every month. So at the end of every month, seeing how much closer you are to your why or your goal for why you're doing this. How much money have you saved? Taking inventory of your closet and seeing that maybe you actually really do like pieces that you own. Looking around at your apartment and realizing that maybe you don't have as much clutter anymore. And I think being mindful and having a reflection every month is really important to keep you on track and remind you why you're doing this and what it is going to help you with in the future. I'm very, very excited / nervous for this challenge in the upcoming 2022 year, but I think it is going to be really awesome and we're going to reap all the benefits of this at the end of the year. So my goal for this is really to do this for a year and just instill better habits moving forward from that and being more mindful with all my purchases. I plan on doing a little low buy check-in every couple months on this channel, and if you want to do it with me, leave a comment down below and let me know if you are joining me this year. I hope these tips were really, really useful for you and that we are breaking the stigma of not talking about money. I think talking about financial goals and shopping behaviors and all of these little things make up what adulting is in your 20s, and it's really important to be honest and call them out and talk about these topics online because so much of YouTube is filled with brand deals and promotions of products. Don't get me wrong, I think it's great and I understand why, but I think it's important to call out the fact that it is fueling a shopping issue and consumerism problem for our generation, and I think it's cool to talk about it and think about ways that we can combat that and still reach our financial goals. So that is what my channel is going to be focused on a lot this coming year: budgeting, personal financing, maybe some design work because I'm a UX designer, and just adulting. I'm learning Korean. This is gonna be our year. 2022 is gonna be our year. I will see you guys sooner or later. Cheers.
When you're only making $10 every 60 minutes, let's clock out, you and me, wander around West County, take my hand, shop and see, only get paid hourly.